In the ancient world, amidst a sea of gods and idols, one man heard a voice that would change the course of history. This is the story of Abraham, a journey of faith that begins in the bustling, polytheistic city of Ur. Imagine a world where every city, every family, had its own deities. Into this world, a divine call pierced through the noise, a call to a man named Abram, telling him to leave everything he knew, his country, his people, his father's household, and go to a land that God would show him. It was a promise of greatness, a promise that Abram's descendants would become a great nation and a blessing to all peoples on earth. With unwavering trust, Abram, his wife Sarai, and his nephew Lot embarked on this monumental journey. They left their home in Haran and set out for the unknown, guided only by a promise. Their destination was the land of Canaan, a land flowing with milk and honey, the land promised to them by God. As they traveled through this new territory, Abram marked his path with faith, building altars to the Lord at Shechem and Bethel, dedicating the land in his journey to the one true God who had called him. Each altar was a statement, a tangible symbol of his devotion in a foreign land. But the promised land was not without its trials. Soon after their arrival, a severe famine gripped Canaan, forcing Abram and his household to seek refuge in the powerful kingdom of Egypt. Fear not at Abram. He knew Sarai's beauty would attract the attention of the Egyptians, and he feared they would kill him to take her. So, he devised a plan born of fear. He told Sarai to say she was his sister. As he predicted, Pharaoh's officials saw her, and she was taken into the royal palace. Abram was showered with gifts, but his heart was heavy, yet God had not abandoned them. He intervened directly, striking Pharaoh and his household with great plagues because of Sarai. A terrified Pharaoh summoned Abram, rebuked him for his deception, and immediately sent them away, returning Sarai and expelling them from Egypt with all their possessions. Back in Canaan, prosperity brought new challenges. Both Abram's and Lot's herds had grown so large that the land could no longer support them both. Strife broke out between their herdsmen. To preserve peace, Abram made a generous offer to his nephew. He said, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me. Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Lot looked up and saw the lush, well-watered plain of the Jordan, and he chose it for himself, settling near the city of Sodom. After Lot had gone, God spoke to Abram again, reaffirming his promise. He told him to look in every direction, for all the land he could see would be his and his descendants forever, promising him offspring as numerous as the dust of the earth. That night, God sealed this covenant in a dramatic and mysterious ceremony. Abram prepared a sacrifice, and as darkness fell, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch representing God's own presence passed between the pieces, a solemn vow that God's promise was unbreakable. Years turned into a decade, and the central promise of a child remained unfulfilled. Sarai, still barren and despairing, took matters into her own hands. Following the custom of the time, she gave her Egyptian maidservant, Hagar, to Abram to bear a child on her behalf. Hagar conceived, and soon, conflict erupted in the household. Hagar began to despise her mistress, and Sarai, in her pain, dealt harshly with her. Hagar fled into the desert, but an angel of the Lord found her, comforted her, and instructed her to return, promising that her own son would be the father of a great multitude. Hagar returned, and Ishmael was born. The house was filled with the cries of a baby, but it was not the promised son, and the tension remained. 13 more years passed. Abram was now 99 years old. Once again, God appeared to him, this time to renew and clarify the covenant. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations, and Sarai's to Sarah, meaning princess. God declared that the covenant would be everlasting and established, circumcision as its physical sign. And then, he made the most astonishing announcement of all. Sarah herself, well past the age of childbearing, would give birth to a son within a year. His name would be Isaac, and the covenant would be established through him. Inside the tent, Sarah overheard this and laughed to herself, thinking, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" It was a laugh of disbelief, born from years of waiting and disappointment. But God heard her, asking, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" And just as God had promised, the miracle occurred. Sarah conceived and gave birth to a son, and they named him Isaac, which means he laughs. The laughter of disbelief was transformed into the laughter of pure joy. Abraham's camp was filled with a new kind of celebration. Isaac grew, a constant, living reminder of God's faithfulness. But the journey of faith was not yet complete. The greatest test was still to come. Years later, God's voice came to Abraham again, this time with a heart-shattering command: take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Can we even imagine the weight of those words? The son of the promise, the child of the miracle, was to be sacrificed. Yet, the next morning, Abraham rose early, saddled his donkey, and began the 3-day journey to Mount Moriah with Isaac and his servants. His obedience was immediate, his faith absolute. On the way, Isaac, carrying the wood for the offering, turned to his father and asked the innocent, piercing question, "Father, the fire and wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham's reply was a profound statement of trust. God himself will provide the lamb. When they reached the place, Abraham built an altar, arranged the wood, bound his beloved son Isaac, and laid him on the altar. He raised the knife, his hand ready to obey the command that defied all understanding. In that final, breathtaking moment, the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket, he saw a ram caught by its horns. He took the ram and sacrificed it instead of his son. Abraham's test on Mount Moriah stands as the ultimate act of faith. It was a demonstration that his love and trust in God surpassed even his love for the promised son. This journey, which began with a simple call to leave his home, culminated in a profound testament to obedience in the face of the incomprehensible. Abraham's legacy as the father of faith resonates through Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His life story is not just an ancient tale, it is a timeless and powerful narrative of trust, sacrifice, and the unwavering belief that even when the path is unclear and the heart is breaking, God's promises hold true. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more journeys of faith.